Hi, guess who? I've seen the team's expectations for the race, so I thought I'd pass them on and wish you luck. Take care.
Hi guys, CombinedYoutuber here. Welcome to the F1 2016 crew mode today, and we'll be doing the Russian Grand Prix qualifying today. And here are our qualifying goals for the Russian Grand Prix. We have to qualify 15th or higher. We have to qualify above Valtteri Bottas, our rival, our new rival, and we have to beat our teammate Romain Grosjean. So, let's see what we can do in this qualifying session, which is in fact wet. A light rain session for the Russian Grand Prix here. And of course we haven't done any races against Valtteri Bottas yet, so this will be the first race in which we do so. So, I believe we're going to do our downforce upgrade very soon. So, let's go to qualifying for the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome back to Sochi. We're about to be joining the action down in the pit lane as the cars get ready to embark on their qualifying runs.
So here we are in qualifying for the Russian Grand Prix here in Sochi. As you can see, it is a light rain session. It's the damp conditions. It's going to actually stop raining at the end of the session, but it's probably going to stay wet after the 20 minutes session. It's going to be cloudy, but I think it's going to stop raining, but it's still going to be wet. So here is Daniel Ricciardo, the first out on track for the front runners. The Sauber Felipe Nasser was the first out overall. Daniel Ricciardo goes out on track. He now comes onto the straight. As I said in China qualifying, I skipped the outlap now, so just of the AI. So just the outlap of the AI, and then we just go straight to their flying laps because I don't want to use up some time there. So now Daniel Ricciardo coming into the last few corners here, and now into the last sector, trying to start his lap. Let's see what Ricciardo can do. There's a lot of downforce in the wet, so let's see what Ricciardo can do now. Coming into the last two corners. Here we go. It's coming into the final corner. Starting his lap here in Sochi, and Daniel Ricciardo comes onto the straight. No DRS, of course, in this session, so it's going to be very tricky to do so. To actually drive in these conditions, just like we had in practice one. But let's just see what we can do. I hope we do well, to be honest, because it is Russia, one of my best tracks, and I should do well there. But now Ricciardo is coming to turn 2 and onto the long turn 3, which isn't flat out, as you can hear from the engine, if you can hear the engine. Ricciardo's engine sounded slow and deep there, so coming now into turn 5, braking down to 3rd gear once again. Going very cautiously through there. Ricciardo at the moment is 5th in the standings. He had a really bad race last time in China. After starting on the front row in China, he had a really bad race. I believe he finished in 9th, or I think he actually finished out the points. But now here comes Daniel Ricciardo onto the straight. Ricciardo was actually involved in the off-track incidents in China. Now coming onto the straight, Daniel Ricciardo comes with a 39.5 first sector, and the second sector coming up now as into the braking zone at turn 13. It's a 39.8. Decent there for Daniel Ricciardo. Let's see what he can do as he comes into the last sector now. He comes onto the kink there. Now coming into the chicane, 2nd gear, and onto the left and right hander. Coming onto the short straight, coming into the penultimate corner. Ricciardo now into the last 2 corners. Where's he going to be on his first lap? Here he comes around the final corner. He crosses the line with a 1:53.9 and taking the first timed lap of the day here in Russia. Nico Rosberg now coming into the last 2 corners. Is he going to beat Daniel Ricciardo coming into the final corner onto the straight? And he does with a 1:53.5. That's 4/10 faster than Daniel Ricciardo. But now Sebastian Vettel comes into the last sector with a 39.7, so he's faster than Ricciardo as well. and in both sectors. So, can Sebastian Vettel take second place now? Provisionally in this Russian Grand Prix qualifying. He comes now onto the mini straight, coming into the last two corners. Now go to the last two corners now, and the penultimate corner, third gear, now to the final corner, third gear once again. And now he crosses the line with a 153.4, and Sebastian Vettel's on provisional pole at the moment here in Russia. He takes a brilliant time of a 153.4, and he goes 1/10 faster than Nico Rosberg and half a second faster than Daniel Ricciardo. Wow, Sebastian Vettel for Ferrari on provisional pole. Ferrari on provisional pole at the moment. This is a very interesting session so far. Let's see what we can do as we come out on track. Felipe Massa currently on the lap, as well as Valtteri Bottas. So, I'm not sure that's the true pace of the Ferraris, but I hope they are, because we want a person other than Mercedes on pole, because we had Mercedes in the last 3 races on pole position. So let's hope we don't have a man on Mercedes in pole position. It's actually highly likely that we will have a Mercedes on pole position. So here we go out on track for our first run in this qualifying session here in Russia. Let's see what we can do on the, of course, the intermediate tyres this time, because of the light rain session, not a heavy rain session like in practice. As we're now coming out on track, as you can see from the engineer, the track will dry out soon, but I believe it will stay like this for the rest of the session when it stops. It'll stop raining, of course, but I think the track will be still wet, so we're going to stay on the inters for the rest of the session. Now, this is where it's a commentary on the outlap, which isn't so entertaining. But now coming into turn 4, let's just hope we do well in this qualifying session. We've got our 3 upgrades from the first 3 races. And we got top 5 finish in Bahrain, of course, in that epic race. In China, we almost got a podium. But we got screwed over by tyre wear, which is usually what happens at China. And then Australia was just Australia, so coming into this left-hander. Now coming onto the straight. We're close to starting our first lap here in this session. And coming now onto the straight, coming down towards turn 13. We are on rich mix on this lap. We have 5 laps of fuel in the tank for this hot lap. We actually corner cut it slightly there, which is not ideal. But coming on to the last sector with all the corners in it, so we've got all the downforce, but of course we are bad in the rain, so we are actually understeering almost off the track. So coming now into the last 2 corners, starting our first lap and probably our only lap in this session, and coming into the final corner onto the pit straight. Starting our first lap, we are going to take our tyres to the wet line on the inside there as we head down into turn 1 flat out, even in the wet. Now coming down the straight down towards turn 2, braking down towards 3rd gear. I think 3rd gear, yeah, most likely, yeah, into 3rd gear, into turn 2, taking the corner nicely. Now coming into turn 3, sliding all over the place there. Now coming into turn 3, 6th gear, not flat, but understeering a lot there. But we somehow keep it on the track. Now coming into turn 4, 3rd gear, as now we come to the end of the first sector. The time is 2/10 off Sebastian Vettel's first sector, which is the 39.4. He's got a 39. I've got a 39.6. So we're 2/10 off Sebastian Vettel. So we're actually looking good here. Let's see what we can do. This is the second sector. Is probably our best sector, or maybe it's the last sector. We're coming into turn 8 and into turn 9. And now into the right-hander at turn 10, braking down to 3rd gear. What can we do on the straight, coming down to the second sector? We have some decent straight line speed, remember, from China. We had 340-something kilometers an hour, I believe. We're coming onto the straight down into turn 13. What's the sector time? It's 1/10. We're 1/10 down on Sebastian Vettel. We're getting closer to his lap time. This is looking good. This is looking close to pole position here. They're coming into the last sector. This Russian Grand Prix was slid all over the place there. We've actually really wrecked up that corner. They're coming onto the short straight. Coming now into the penultimate corner, where we're going to be for the first lap of this Russian Grand Prix. Coming into the last two corners. Here we go into the final corner. Second gear, crossing the line is a 1:53.23, and we have actually got provisional pole. For the first ever time in qualifying, we have got provisional pole here in Russia. By only 1/10 of a second, we managed to climb 2/10 on Sebastian Vettel, and we have a chance of claiming our first ever pole position of this F1 2016 career mode. Wow! What a final sector we had there. We are on provisional pole here in Russia. Unbelievable. Wow. What a lap. But we've actually dropped down to third now because Lewis Hamilton has improved to 1:52.8 and Kimi Räikkönen is in second place. In the last 5 minutes of this session, can we have a thrilling climax to this session? Let's hope we can, because we are having a chance for a top 3 in qualifying, which is not usually what happens. I haven't actually really qualified in the top 3 much in the career modes recently, but in this session we have a huge chance to. Here is our teammate Romain Grosjean coming around turn 3. Let's see what he can do. He's obviously taking it really cautiously. But Grosjean, who obviously beat us in the 3 practice sessions of the weekend, could be absolutely demolished in terms of time. So this is an intriguing qualifying session here in Russia. Coming into turn 7, Grosjean is actually taking it very cautiously. He's currently 21st, I believe, in no time, most likely. No time at the moment, so 4 minutes to go in this session. Are we going to grab pole? We're going to grab the top 3, or is someone going to improve? We'll see about that. They're coming onto the straight, coming down towards onto acceleration. So down to turn 13. He does 39.9, so that's way off. That's 3/10 down on me, and 40.2 for the second sector. That's around a few tenths, about 4 or 5 tenths slower than Sebastian Vettel in his old lap time, but Lewis Hamilton obviously on pole position at the moment. Now coming into the last sector, Romain Grosjean takes those corners nicely. Here he comes onto the short straight down into the penultimate corner. Here he goes down into third gear, and now what's he going to do? Into the final corner, third gear again. Grosjean crosses the line with a 1:54.9, goes 11th fastest, and we are currently in third. So this is our chance to get our first top 3 of this career mode. And as you can see, we had a purple last sector, so we are the fastest in the third sector at the moment. Max Verstappen coming into turn 4 now. What's he going to do on this lap? This is the first good qualifying session of the season. I mean, Bahrain was alright, and Bahrain and China I actually found boring to commentate on, but this isn't too bad, to be honest. They're coming into this corner, turn 7, onto the shortest straight, not really a straight, to be honest. They're coming into turn 8 and 9, with Max Verstappen with a 39.5 for the first sector. And now coming into turn 10. Lewis Hamilton at the moment on provisional pole. We are actually going to check if the track dries, so we're going to see what happens here. So what I do here to check if the track is drying, if I switch between the 2 tyres and see if it's dropping down, and the time is indeed dropping down, but only by a couple of hundredths each 2 seconds or so. So it's not looking likely for a dry period. We can't go out for another lap anyway because we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds to go, and this track is around 1 minute and 50 seconds in this weather, so we can't go out on track for another run. So actually Max Verstappen aborts his lap and goes into the pits. So that's interesting. Max Verstappen not going for pole position there. But what can Ricciardo do? in this session. He's currently 7th after he was the first timed lap we saw. And he has a Renault ahead of him. He has a Renault. Not sure that Renault is, but he's going to get out of the way there. That's nice from... Is that Julian Palmer again? He was blocking Lewis Hamilton in practice 3. And Julian Palmer once again blocking Daniel Ricciardo, so... Here comes Ricciardo into turn 7. What's he going to do? This is the last 45 seconds of this session. Are we actually going to see the end of this lap? That's the question. We might not see the rest of his lap here. Unless he goes to super fast speed. I don't think we'll see the rest of his lap. And coming onto the straight, Daniel Ricciardo. It's a 42.8, 152.8, so 39.4 for the first sector, which is one of the fastest we've seen. A 39.6, which is faster than Sebastian Vettel. What's Ricciardo going to do into the last sector with the downforce section? We've actually got 10 seconds to go. I don't think we'll see the rest of this lap from Daniel Ricciardo. Now coming into the chicane, we have 5 seconds to go in this session. We are not going to see the rest of Daniel Ricciardo's lap, but where are we for this session?
Qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top 3 are Hamilton, Raikkonen and a Haas. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow, where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, it's goodbye.
We are indeed 3rd place for the Russian Grand Prix. A very, very good qualifying session. Only 4/10 of Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. It's our first top 3 of this career mode. And we qualify 3rd place for the Russian Grand Prix. That gives us a good chance for a podium. Very good chance. Romain Grosjean qualifies 14th. Valtteri Bottas, our new rival, qualifies in 7th place. So this is going to be an interesting race, which will come out tomorrow. So, Lewis Hamilton has got pole from Kimi Raikkonen, then it's me in 3rd. Daniel Ricciardo qualifies ahead of Valtteri Bottas, where he ended up, was 6th place on the grid. And here are our resource points after this qualifying session. Overachieved by 11 positions, we got 50 for that. And we got 88 resource points for 713 resource points there. So here is a rivalry update. This is going to be interesting. So we've got all fastest sectors and we're now leading the rivalry after this qualifying session. We are just massively overachieving. If we spend 3/4 of this season with overachieving, we'll get a achievement on the game. So we are probably not going to go for this downforce upgrade that we're going to do for, let's say, Spain, but Monaco as well. Spain and Monaco, I was mainly aiming to do those. But so we're going to actually get that downforce upgrade on the car for the just before the race, I reckon. So hopefully you enjoyed that intriguing qualifying session here in Russia. We have qualified in a brilliant 3rd place for this session. And see you guys on my next video. Please like, comment and subscribe. And goodbye. And noting you that the race will come out tomorrow. So see you then.